Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're embarking on a really unique exploration. It's all about self-understanding, personal growth. You know, in our modern world, especially online, there's just this constant pressure to show only the good stuff, the highlight. It's like this curated world, filtered sunsets, perfect smiles, and it can create a very, artificial view of life, a bit one-sided. So what about the rest, the parts we kind of tuck away? To help us unpack all this, we're diving deep into the insights of Carl Jung. We're using excerpts from a YouTube video transcript. It's called Carl Jung, The Power of Knowing Your Dark Side, written by Eternalised for After School. Our mission today, to really explore Jung's pretty revolutionary ideas about the unconscious, specifically this dark side he talked about, and why facing up to what we try to hide isn't just, brave, but actually essential for what he called psychic wholeness, for living genuinely.
That's right. And Carl Jung, while he was a Swiss psychiatrist, the founder of analytical psychology, he really did revolutionize how we understand the mind. His deep dive into the unconscious, especially dark side, or the shadow as he termed it, it fundamentally shifted things in psychology. And while, a lot of people prefer to just ignore it, focus only on the positive, Jung was clear. It's fundamental. We all experience darkness, trials, it's just part of life. And this isn't about, wallowing in misery. It's about confronting a really vital part of who we are.
Okay, so let's start peeling back those layers then. Jung noticed this trend, which feels even stronger now, right? Showing only the pleasant bits. We kind of meticulously bury the dark side because, society often says it's taboo. And this often leaves us feeling, resentful, disappointed in ourselves, especially when we compare our messy reality to these perfect online lives. We start believing our real, unfiltered self just isn't okay. So we hide our genuine feelings, our actions.
Which leads us straight to Jung's idea of the persona. And it's more than just a mask. It's this complex front we present, carefully put together for acceptance, for a functioning world. But the danger, and this really affects our mental stability, is that we unconsciously let others dictate how we live. We end up becoming, inauthentic, like numbers in a crowd, just react instead of living from our own core.
And the consequence of that is huge. How can you move towards self-realization if you're pretending to be someone else when that false mask shatters? And life often makes sure it does.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, we suddenly face this emptiness of ourselves, and that can trigger a proper existential crisis.
Yeah.
That seems like a really heavy price for just trying to seem likable.
It is. And what's crucial, Jung would say, is that authenticity is the real path. Self-realization, psychic wholeness, it demands a radically honest view of life, which means acknowledging that dark side. The side that, as the source notes, most people cannot bear to look at. So we mustn't repress it. We have to confront. Jung put it so well, didn't he?
Yeah.
He said, "It is high time we realize that it is pointless to praise the light and preach it if nobody. It is much more needful to teach people the art of seeing."
Seeing the whole picture.
Exactly. Seeing our whole selves, not just the edited highlight. And he also added, really emphasizing why we need the hearts. There's no light without shadow and no psychic wholeness without imperfection. To round itself out, life calls not for perfection, but for completeness. And for this, the thorn in the flesh is needed, the suffering of defects without which there is no progress and no...
Wow. So those flaws, they're not roadblocks. They're actually pathways.
That's the idea, pathways to growth.
Okay, so if the persona is the mask, what happens to everything hidden behind it? All the stuff we push down. Jung says that the persona plus our defects, insecurities, repressions, avoided memories, all that feeds and forms the shadow, the unknown dark side of our personality.
Right. The shadow is basically everything which one has no wish. But the key thing is, it's not separate, it follows us, literally and metaphorically, it's part of you. You can't just cut it off. To go against the shadow means going against yourself. It's fundamental whether we look at it or not.
It's so easy to think of it as just like the enemy or pure evil, this monster inside.
Yeah, that's a common...
But the source material makes a really interesting point. The shadow is exactly like any human being who sometimes resists or sometimes gives love, whatever the situation requires. So it only gets hostile if we ignore it or misunderstand it, like it's trying to get our attention.
Precisely. It pushes us to acknowledge it, to integrate what it's trying to tell us. And here's a fascinating part. The compensatory role of the shadow. It represents everything we lack in our continuality. So, for example, the shadow of someone really aggressive might hold their tenderness, their ability to connect, their sincerity, while the shadow of a very shy person, that might contain their assertiveness, their sense of responsibility. It's the balance.
Wow. So it holds the opposite qualities
Yes.
Which leads to this profound idea that the shadow contains pure gold, psychological insight just waiting to be integrated, this inner gold. It's not just flaws, it's all our potential and ideal self, the person we could become. So the shadow isn't the enemy at all. It's actually our ally in the journey of life.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
It does. And that quote you mentioned earlier, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious.
Exactly. Enlightenment comes from understanding the darkness within, not just chasing some external light.
Okay, but what are the dangers then if we don't acknowledge this shadow? if we just keep pushing it down?
Well, that's where it gets tricky. The less we integrate it, the more it is liable to burst forth, certainly in a moment of unawareness.
It finds a way out.
It demands to be seen, and if we don't look willingly, it tends to erupt, often destructively.
Like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
That's a perfect literary example. Jekyll tried so hard to repress his dark side, right? But Hyde, his shadow, just took over, did terrible things. Now, in reality, it's not usually a physical transformation like that. It's an inner psychic state. But the principle holds. We have to be the ones to integrate it. Otherwise, these unacknowledged parts can really drive our behavior without us even realizing.
And one common way this happens is through psychological projection, right? That's Jung's term.
Yes.
Where we basically take our own unacceptable thoughts or feeling and we stick them onto other people. Unconsciously, yeah. Because, as the source says, projection is always easier than assimilation. It feels safer to see the bad stuff out there, not in here.
Exactly. And the impact of that, well, personally, it lets us off the hook, right? We avoid responsibility. We feel less uncomfortable about ourselves for a bit. But our world becomes distorted, like an illusory existence based on these projections. And it really damages relationships, leading to sadness, self-hate, regret when we lose people or things.
And it's not just personal, is it? This projection can scale up to the collective shatter.
Absolutely. That's when whole groups start projecting their unacknowledged darkness onto another. They see the other as completely wrong, as the enemy that must be fought.
Wow.
And this tendency, seeing your shadow out there in a specific person or a group, is described as potentially the most dangerous aspect of the modern psyche. It's what fuels so much conflict, war, economic chaos, strikes, racial intolerance.
The scary part is,
people are often completely unaware they're caught up. They genuinely believe the problem is only out there. It's this massive collective blind spot.
That's sobering. And beyond all that social chaos, just ignoring our own shadow, it actually drains us personally.
Yeah, the source suggests all our energy lies in our shadow.
Oh.
So actively suppressing it, it makes us feel lifeless, exhausted, and lazy.
Like a part of our own vitality is just locked away.
Exactly. Tied up in the effort of repression.
Okay, so that's the bad news. But there's good news too, right? There's a solution.
Yes, definitely. A conscious confrontation with the shadow, it actually fills one up with energy and stamina. It's transformative. And this process is often called shadow.
Shadow work. Okay, what does that involve? How do you actually do it?
Well, it involves deliberate practices, things like cultivating self-awareness, really watching your emotional reaction. Why do certain things trigger you so much? Being radically honest with yourself. No more. And paying attention to your dreams, Jung was big on.
So it's an active engagement. Courageous, really.
Yeah.
Facing those parts instead of letting them just fester.
Exactly. Active and courageous. And this leads to that amazing paradox of human existence we touched on. To experience the light and true happiness, we must descend dark. The idea is that the true source of light isn't fragile. It's the light that keeps burning, even in the depths of dark. It's found within the struggle.
That makes me think of the wounded healer archetype. The person who is at home in the darkness of suffering finds light through it, and they can help others. The Force also mentioned creative depression, not just clinical depression, but this idea of it being a cry of the soul for growth.
Yeah.
And if we don't just rush to numb it, but actually experience its meaning, it can paradoxically cure us by forcing that growth.
Yes, by forcing us to confront what needs changing, what needs integrating. And, by doing this personal work, becoming more authentic, integrating our shadow, we also become more aware of the collective shadow. We're less likely to fall prey to its pull to that us versus them mentality.
And maybe we could even influence others.
That's the hope, that we can positively influence other people to do the same, improving our lives, their lives, the community around us. It's like a ripple effect of content.
It reminds me of that quote from the Source about Jung's answer when people asked him, will we make it? Referring to the crises of his time. He apparently always said, if enough people will do their inner work.
Such a powerful challenge, and a hope, too. It puts the responsibility and the potential right back on us as individuals. He really believed, didn't he, that we must have a dark side if we are to be whole. Denying the darkness is denying half of ourselves. Integration.
What a journey we've taken today, really digging into Jung's ideas. It seems so clear now that this union of light and dark is what creates the self, the totality of our personality. And that's the goal, isn't it? Psychological development, aiming for complete, not some impossible idea of perfection.
Absolutely. And that brings us to that beautiful final thought from Jung's perspective. The place where light and dark begin to touch is the most profound experience we can have. It really suggests that true enlightenment, it isn't found just by chasing the positive. It's in that courageous integration of everything we are. The messy bits, the magnificent bits, all of it.
So maybe something for you to reflect on after this deep dive. What thorn in the flesh, what difficult part of yourself might you be avoiding? And what pure gold, what potential might be waiting in its shadow if you actually dared to look?
Remember Jung's view on our purpose here, to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.